From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Nasiru Usman, reporting for Signature TV News.
When we talk about insecurity, it's not just on the road, because most times we might say, oh, this student has traveled and maybe the child was kidnapped. No, now what we are talking about now is um most of them, they might come to the school and abduct them. And how do we curb this insecurity? So now we want the government to come to our aid, so that insecurity in Nigerian universities would stop, so that these children can be very, very okay. They can feel comfortable.
I would suggest that everybody just tries to keep themselves safe. Like, don't come out at odd hours. Because I don't know, I've not really seen any security personnel around. Personally, I've not seen, because I've not been out so late. So personally, I don't. I try to protect myself first, and I don't put myself in certain scenarios and situations. So I think the best thing is to be at the right place at the right time.
People should know when to go out, when to go about, and then as a lady, for girls to make, if you're walking in the night, just make sure you're not walking alone. Like me, if I'm coming back from somewhere and it's already late, I just try to walk with maybe one of the male in my school that is walking down the side I'm going to. That's it. There was a day they alerted us that we should not actually go to a specific place due to they were stealing things there, and I think they were carrying guns. And I've also heard around these school gates where they took things from people. So it's really bad. I just pray that they will take action towards it.
I've heard of cases whereby students, girls will come out in the night. They want to go for night class. Like students that go for night class, they leave their houses around 7 p.m. Because if they leave anything later than that, like it's going to be very bad. I've heard of cases whereby students will be coming home, returning from night class. They are stealing from them. They are killing them. They are beating them up. Like, I just feel it's something we should take seriously.
It's not only in Nigeria university, both in the streets, everybody is affecting everybody. So our prayer is that God will help us in this nation, so that Nigeria security will return back to normal, so that everybody can be secure. Even in the streets, once it's 8 o'clock, everybody enter his room. You will not even see more vehicle. Assuming now you're going somewhere, and by 9 o'clock, you can't see any vehicle to board the hair. The one thing I think is that maybe anybody that are caught in that action is supposed to be punished, so that other people will learn their own lesson from that play aspect, so that it will reduce. Because if you think, well, if you remember what happened to another person, you involving on it, you will say, you don't want to involve, so that you will not be caught.
Okay, we have a case in one particular university, name don't just call the name, okay, that they found a student dead, and she was actually dumped in the gutter. So someone came out and was like telling the SUG that you guys have not done anything about this student, rather, but you guys protested when Mobile died, that popular singer. You guys protested when he died. But about this student that was actually found in a gutter. And the funniest part is she's a new student in the school, that her body was found in the gutter. So for me, I have to tell, this thing is in the hand of the SUG president of the school, that they have to do something about it, because this insecurity actually lies in their hands too.
In fuel pump price, which is very high, is affecting the spending habits of citizens. It's making it very hard. If fuel subsidy is to be really introduced, I think it will make spending habits of consumers to be less, and the unit price of commodities will reduce because the transportation costs will reduce, which will make life easy for us to live.
It's really an issue that has been lingering for a very long time now. I remember coming down here to this venue today and I saw the queue in the NNPC filling station, and I feel that this is part of the reason why we're having the hike in prices of things, and something can be done. The NNPC can do something about this to make sure that fuel is readily available to every part of Nigeria.
Like now I'm doing business and I want to purchase something, I can't buy it normal price. The price will go higher, and at the end of the day, I cannot even get what to eat. I cannot see money to buy what I will eat with my baby. So it's really very hard for us to survive.
The issue is quite alarming and so disheartening because most of us have a lot of things to do. Like where you used to go to 200 is now 500. Where you used to, somebody that is an average worker, or maybe a sales girl that is being paid 30K. Imagine your transport fare every day. You might just, half of your money will be gone for just transportation. It doesn't only affect our transportation, it also affects our daily living. The thing used to, even biscuit, that one hurts me. I'm seriously saying it. Biscuit I used to buy 16 naira is now 120. And 150 on is now 300. Imagine students like us, how we are going to be surviving and how we are going to be managing ourselves. Some of us in school, they are the one catching for ourselves. So when you combine these two school activities and daily living, it's quite alarming.
To be honest, me, in school, I trekked from the hostel to the gate because the transport fare was 17 naira, but now it is 150. So the increment is is so overwhelming that I prefer trekking. Like I rather trek than to spend 150 naira. It's a lot on transport, and the distance is actually so short compared to what it was before. So aside transportation, it has also affected the cost of feeding. Yes. Because if you want to if you want to buy pepper now, pepper that was let me say 15 naira, it's just for 200 naira. Now I don't know what it is now. So both feeding, accommodation, because your agent will also add transportation to go check the building. And all this, like, it's numerous. It's even the school fees has increased. Our school fees has increased.
Leaders, and the right that you enjoy when you are 18 years and above. It implies that you have a say in who governs you, from your ward to local government to state and to the national level. The right to protest, conversely, is a right to say, even though we have elected you, we are not comfortable with what you are doing. We need a change of attitude. We need a change of action. And that right to vote and that right to protest would appear to have the same significance. But political leaders are afraid of protests But they're not afraid of voting, but they're afraid of protests. If you voted for a man and he's not doing well, it is incumbent on citizens to say that's the only way they express, because they don't have a parliament. They're not in the National Assembly. So the only way they have is to say, yes, this is a placard. You're not doing well. Resign. Go away. So it's a fundamental right. But
Our teachers and lecturers can be rightly called nation builder, through which their sacrifices mold our personalities, our character, in which great men have built our nation. Today, we are on the street of Abuja to ask ordinary citizens how has the Nigerian teachers and lecturers contributed to nation building.
The teacher in this country should help us, teach us, inculcate in the students how to become a better citizen of Nigeria. All of us should not have this mentality that when I get to the given opportunity to rule, to do that, to be a leader, that we should have this mind of It's only me and my family, selfish at no. Nigeria can be better.
Lecturers are now taking money from students to give them mark. Some are sleeping with the students to give them certificate. This was not what was happening in the 60s and the 70s. But lecturers, they are not helping. They are not helping to mold the children. Every boy that leaves university now want to drive a jeep without working. You want to live big without working. That is not what we were taught when we were in school in those days. The situation now is going beyond. It's not only the lecturers, you have to blame the parents. Because the parents are leaving their worlds and their children for teachers to teach. Teacher will teach your child education. But morals is mostly from the parents. You cannot leave morals for the teacher alone. The teachers will contribute their own, but parents have a job. Because every parent now, they are struggling to look for money.
When we talk about education, when we talk about school system, is, the former Labour presidential candidate will always say moving our economy from consumption to production. And for me, it's not just talking about industry or manufacturing. It should span across both schools. School is into production. We are processing those students. And the fact is that those students are coming out to become somebody's employees tomorrow.
The teachers are trying. The teachers are very trying. It's not easy to teach you, even in your home. Even in your working place. Being this a great chairman, it was easy. Talk more of the person you stay with. Tomorrow the student will come or the child will come tomorrow, and you say they need to know how to put these people in order to balance things up. The teachers, they are trying. They don't deserve any suffering at all.
We want quality education, like I said. It shouldn't be free. It should be paid for, but when we pay for them, it should be quality and quality field. So the lecturers are giving exactly what they have. And for me, there's no point you do not tell me that a lecturer has been lecturing for 20 years, has not gone for retraining. I don't care what level of education you have, you need to be retrained. Same to Nigeria Union of Teachers, same to teachers and every aspect of profession. You should be retrained. For he who does not get retrained is left in the past. So if you have a knowledge that is 20 years old with you, it simply means you are teaching a 2024 child what was learned in 1980.
Good morning and welcome to Signature Morning. My name is Joshua Oritogun. With me in the studio is Charles Piers. We're going to be moving over to the global news right away. Just stick around. Welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Charles Piers. In the headlines, Trump, Harris spar on economy, abortion in fiery presidential debate. ENUGU and Northia communities react to killings in the area. Presidency denies Turks human rights abuse claims. Imo Assembly urges Uzodimma to immortalize Iwanyao. Details shortly. Republican Donald Trump and Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris immediately went on the offensive in the opening segment of their first presidential debate hosted by ABC News on Tuesday, each seeking a campaign-altering moment in their closely fought election. Harris, 59, attacked Trump's intention to impose high tariffs on foreign goods, a proposal she has likened to a sales tax on the middle class, while touting her plan to offer tax benefits to families and small businesses.
Talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess.
Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics. Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not.
Trump criticized Harris for the persistent inflation during the Biden administration's term. Though he overstated the level of price increases, he also pivoted quickly to his top issue, immigration, claiming again, without evidence, that immigrants from insane asylums are crossing the U.S. southern border with Mexico.
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime, a violation to their body, does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't want that. Let's understand.
The debate got underway at 1 a.m. Nigerian time, 9 p.m. in Philadelphia. Venue of debates Wednesday with a surprise handshake between the two opponents who had never met before. Harris approached Trump at his lantern, introducing herself by name in what was the first handshake at a presidential debate since 2016. Harris delivered a lengthy attack on abortion limits, speaking passionately about women denied emergency care and victims of incest unable to terminate their pregnancies due to statewide bans that have proliferated since the U.S. Supreme Court eliminated a nationwide right in 2022. 3 Trump appointees were in the majority of that ruling. She also claimed Trump would support a national ban, an assertion Trump called a lie. Trump, who has sometimes struggled with messaging on abortion, claimed falsely that Harris and Democrats support infanticide, which, as moderator Lindsey Davis noted, is illegal in every state. Harris also sought to tie Trump to Project 2025, a conservative policy blueprint that proposes expanding executive power, eliminating environmental regulations, and making it illegal to ship abortion pills across state lines, among other right-wing goals. Trump retorted that he has nothing to do with Project 2025, though some of his advisors were involved in its creation. All right. joining us to explain a little bit more about this debate that has happened a few hours ago is our international correspondents and public affairs analysts. We have Mr. Vin Martin Obira. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Charles. I'm glad to be here.
Right. What was your first reaction with the debate? I mean, this is the second after Joe Biden left. And this is the first time both candidates are meeting and the first handshake since 2016. How did you view this debate?
Anyway, before I talk about my impression of the debate, let's look at what the two candidates said about foreign affairs, which was an important aspect of this historic debate between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, because both of them advanced their positions on the Ukraine and Russian war. Let's look at that.
They don't want that. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
Foreign affairs was an important aspect of the historic debate between former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, with both candidates advancing their positions on the Ukraine-Russian war. Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris also put Republican Donald Trump on the defensive at the combative presidential debates, calling him out for questioning her racial heritage, as both candidates sought a campaign-altering moment in their closely fought election. Trump, who has spent weeks launching personal attacks on Harris that have included racist and sexist insults, largely avoided insults during the debate's early moments, but became increasingly agitated under Harris's offensive. Trump was asked by the moderators about one of those attacks when he told an event with black journalists in July that Harris had recently become a black person.
Just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her.
When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms. That the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. When I went
Joining me now to discuss the U.S. presidential debates, which ended a few hours ago, is former Foreign Affairs correspondent Vin Martin Obira. Vin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for welcoming me a second time. I just wanted to see some more parts of that debate. It was a very engaging one. It was vibrant. It was
like footballers would say, you didn't take your eyes off your TV set because every second was a high point. But what has happened in this election is that Kamala Harris is coming out of the dark, bringing herself, presenting herself to the American people for the first time, enjoying this kind of viewership. I mean, number of Americans and even people across the world. And she knew it was a very, very important moment for her. And what did she do? She tried to avoid distractions. She tried to remain focused. And she went into that debate with what I would call a two-pronged strategy. One was to show herself as someone who had authority. She also wanted to show herself who had a lot of gravity, and also wanted to show herself as somebody that was mature, presidential, and could be president of America. She also, the second part to it was to differentiate herself from Trump. I mean, she was very intentional and strategic about it. This is who I am, and this is who he is. And that was even, if you started from the beginning, when they came, you saw that she was the one that worked from her podium and went across to where Trump was and shook and said, I am Kamala Harris. So, and then another strategy she employed in that debate was to see how she can provoke Trump, how she could get under his skin and make him say some of those wild things that he's known for. But then she also tried to stay on the issues. And, she presented herself as someone who was going to be president of every American, And for Trump's strategy going into that debate was to show that, Kamala, you can't distance yourself from Biden. True. So whatever he said, he wanted to say Biden, Kamala Harris government. Everything he tied. That it got so bad that at a point, Kamala said, you're not debating against President Biden. You're debating against me. Then the other strategy was to prove that he had a wonderful 4 years and that all the legacies in the economy, in the defense of America, in ensuring world peace had been blown by the Biden-Kamala Harris administration. So we saw a very robust debate early this morning for those of us in Nigeria, and it was about 9 p.m. Eastern time in the United States, But that debate also has redefined what happens in the next couple of days. Because immediately after that debate, the SSRS had polled those that watched the debate on CNN.
Okay.
And the verdict was that 63% said Harris won, and 37% said Trump won. Of course, immediately Trump came out of the debate ground and was speaking to the press. He said, of course, he won. Because the Democrats think that Harris has done so well. So they are demanding for a second debate. And Trump says, well, we'll think about it, but the only reason they're wanting a second debate is because they're lost. So, and then that debate also saw Trump being Trump. making wild claims, even some that were immediately fact-checked by the presenters. Like when he said that some immigrants were eating dogs and pets of America. You know, that they were eating part of their, you know, he says that the immigrants are criminals and what have you. And then he said that, can you imagine that they are not even eating the pets and dogs of the. So the interviewer said, no, based on what we have, is not true. They said it's not true. Of course, you know Trump. What he says, he says. And then all through the debate, because his greatest strength, according to him, is immigration and what has happened with immigration. So you ask him a question, he goes back to immigration. You ask him a question, he goes back to immigration. When they asked him, you played a part in what happened on January 6th. Did you know that kind of yes or no answer? He didn't talk to them. He just I think that this debate might change the numbers. It might change the numbers. If you remember that at the Biden-Trump debate, Trump had won almost by 63 to 33%.
On every poll, in fact. On every poll.
On every poll. On every poll. I mean, it was bad, and that was what led to the panic of the Democrats, and that led to Biden he had to now drop off the race. So I think that after this debate, numbers may change, because a lot of analysts are saying that Trump didn't actually say anything different from what he has been saying. And he didn't make a compelling case for some of the things he was saying. So I very much believe that it might change the numbers.
All right, I mean, two key issues just before we let you go. One of them is what Nigeria as a country can learn from this debate. I mean, we've seen over the last few years, in our last two presidential elections, where it was even an issue for presidential candidates of political parties not coming up for debates like this. And this is the only time you can actually sit and watch someone up close and personal tell you what they would do, why they become the president of the country. But that doesn't happen. Do you think that we could learn a thing or two from this? And secondly, I didn't really see them talk about the significance of or the importance of security, given that today, which is September 11, in 2001 was when the Islamic attack happened. They didn't really dwell on that. So do you think that's one of the things that they missed out in the debate?
Okay, let me start from the last question. Yes, I think security should have been one of the issues. But you know what happens in the American election? Some issues become issues. Security is not actually a big issue in this campaign and this election. Because when you look at the American state, the challenges, security challenges you could say they have are those internal gun violence and what have you. But I mean, talking externally, there's no big challenge. It's not like ISIS is like they used to be, or any of those terrorist organizations are a challenge. So security is not actually a big challenge. But anybody would have thought that because of the significance of today, that they were going to talk about it. But I don't think that's the big issue in this election is economy. The big issue in this election is immigration. You could also say that one of the issues in this election is what is happening in the Middle East, the Israeli-Gaza challenge. So you saw them talking about it. But then back to Nigeria, it's unfortunate, really. And I can say that the reason for this is because We are not a democratic nation. I'm sorry. We say we are a democratic nation. What is democracy? Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. How many times in the election of our councillors, in the election of our chairmen of local governments, in our governors, in the president, how many times have the votes of Nigerians counted? Is it not when somebody knows that your vote will either put him there or not put him there, that he has a responsibility to come to you to say, this is what I want to do? Haven't you seen governors who say, come to a campaign, all through the campaign, and they'll just say, well, the governor that is leaving has done so well, I'll just continue from where he stopped. And they get down and nobody holds them to account. So in the United States of America, every single vote counts. So the leaders have a responsibility to try to convince you, Charles. And that's why you see presidents, they are on the road, you're passing, they hold you back and say, please, this is what I'm going to do. Oh, you are from ENUGU. One of the challenges in ENUGU is that there are bad roads. If I become president, the first thing I'm going to do is to talk about roads. But because our votes don't count, there is a big problem. And for debates to make sense in Nigeria, the votes need to count so that our leaders will have a responsibility, a hunger, a reason to want to talk. I mean, Buhari did not debate. The current president did not debate. And you can't hold them down. I mean, what can you hold them down? I mean, in America, you can play back this debate 1 month after, or 1 year after, or 2 years after, and say, Kamala, this was what you said. And that was why yesterday I was overexcited, where I was invited, and our station really carried it. We are a chairmanship candidate in this current election, in the local government election that they are preparing for in Enugu State, called his constituents to say, I want to present my manifesto. That's the way we should go. So it's unfortunate, but I pray we get there.
All right, let's leave it there. We'll continue engaging these issues as they come. Thank you so much, Vin Martin.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. U.S. President Joe Biden said on Tuesday, September 10th, that his administration was working on lifting restrictions on Ukraine's use of long-range weapons in its war against Russia. The U.S. has been reluctant to supply or sanction the use of weapons that could strike targets deep inside in Russia for fear it could escalate the conflict. Kyiv's other allies have been supplying weapons, but with restrictions on how and when they can be used inside Russia. Out of concern, such strikes could prompt retaliation that draws NATO countries into the war or provokes a nuclear conflict. Meanwhile, Pentagon spokesperson Major General Patrick Ryder said on Tuesday that the U.S. confirmed reports that Russia has received ballistic missiles from Iran for its war in Ukraine. According to Ryder, the U.S. assesses the FAT-360, a type of close-range ballistic missile system, could be used within weeks against Ukraine, leading to the deaths of even more Ukrainian civilians.
The United States has confirmed reports that Iran has transferred shipments of FAT-360 close-range ballistic missiles to Russia, which we assess could employ them within weeks against Ukraine, leading to the deaths of even more Ukrainian civilians. To echo our State Department and White House colleagues, this is a deeply concerning development, as this partnership between Iran and Russia threatens European security and illustrates how Iran's destabilizing influence reaches beyond the Middle East and around the world. Additionally, Russian support for Iran is destabilizing as well, as Moscow is sharing technology that Iran needs. We'll continue to monitor these developments alongside our allies and partners across Europe and the Middle East, and remain steadfast in our support to Ukraine's defense from the threat these missile systems may pose to the people of Ukraine. I'm able to address a few of those things. So as you highlight, we do believe that dozens of Russian military personnel were trained in Iran to use this missile system. I'm not able to get into the intelligence in terms of the specific number of missiles needless to say, this is a concerning development, as I highlighted. And the thing about the missile is that it is a short range or close range ballistic missile system. We estimate it has a maximum range of about 75 miles. So what this does is it would enable Russia to employ this capability while preserving its longer range capabilities for use throughout the battlefield, thus deepening Russia's arsenal and also, again, giving it the ability to strike the kinds of targets that we've seen them striking, to include civilian targets. And so we have not seen them employ them yet, but are obviously keeping a close eye on that. And as you heard the State Department say earlier and the White House, there are sanctions being applied to include sanctions from our European allies.
Iran is getting, what do you think Iran specifically has gotten in exchange for this?
Again, without being able to go into specifics, we see them sharing information as it relates to nuclear programs, space, and other technological capabilities that Russia has that countries like Iran want.
Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Russia received the missiles from Iran 2 years after the full-scale invasion. Iran has denied supplying the arms. Ukraine, which has already been grappling with an increase in Russian missile and drone attacks, has said there could be devastating consequences for its bilateral ties with Iran if reports of the missile supplies are confirmed. Ukraine's allies, including the U.S., have said that the delivery amounts to a substantial escalation and that they will impose further sanctions on Iran. Venezuelans waiting to enter Brazil said on Tuesday that the international community has deserted them. Immigrants waiting for hours and days at the UNHCR facility in the Brazilian border town of Paracaima said that they didn't see any support of forthcoming from other countries and international organizations, which could have potentially altered Venezuela's political path. The flight to Spain of former Venezuelan opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez has largely extinguished any hope for a political change in the country as a long-term President Nicolas Maduro shrugs off international criticisms about the conduct of July's disputed election. Election officials in Venezuela's top court said that July 28 votes was won by socialist Maduro, who has been in power since 2013. The opposition says tallies collected by 8 observers show a resounding victory for Gonzalez. More than 7.7 million people have left Venezuela in recent years, and more are setting out to join its robust global diaspora. Venezuelan exiles gathered outside the Spanish parliament on Tuesday as Spanish lawmakers debated a symbolic motion from the main opposition party to recognize Venezuelan presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez as winner of the election. The motion is expected to be approved on Wednesday. Several hundred people, including Gonzalez's daughter Carolina Gonzalez, gathered outside the Spanish parliament in Madrid with Venezuelan flags, chanting "Brave Venezuela" and holding signs reading "For Venezuela's freedom." Gonzalez also read a message from her father, which said he would keep fighting and not let his supporters down. Venezuela's opposition say the July election resulted in a resounding victory for 75-year-old Gonzalez and have published vote tallies online. They say show he won. Maduro has dismissed all such assertions and says there was a right-wing plot to sabotage his government. The Spanish government has not recognized a winner in the Venezuelan election, but asked for vote tallies to be published in line with the European Union's opposition. Germany's government presented a plan on Tuesday to implement more rigorously European rules on asylum that would see more people turned away at its border, a day after it announced it would start carrying out controls on all its land borders. The proposals including detaining asylum seekers while authorities determine whether Germany is responsible for processing their case with the help of Europe's shared fingerprint database, Eurodac, amongst other tools, Interior Minister Nancy Faeser told a news conference. Excuse me. The measures reflect Germany's hardening stance on immigration in the wake of high arrivals of asylum seekers from both the Middle East and Ukraine, which could strain relations with other European states. Germany's neighboring country, Poland, has already reacted to Germany's new border control plans, with its Prime Minister Donald Tusk calling the plan unacceptable. Berlin says it must tackle irregular migration due to overburdened public services and to protect the public from threats such as Islamic extremism. Recent deadly knife attacks in which the suspects were asylum seekers have stoked concerns over immigration. The Islamic State group claimed responsibility for a knife attack in the western city of Solingen that killed 3 people in August. Mainstream parties are seeking to seize the initiative away from the far-right Alternative for Germany that has tapped into concerns about migration and seen support surge in recent years. A visibly angry Olaf Scholz berated the opposition for walking out of asylum talks on Tuesday, with German Chancellor leveling serious accusations against CDU leader Friedrich Merz. Merz had already broken off talks with the federal and state governments on his topic last year. At the time, the CDU leader took 3 days of deliberations before refusing to cooperate. Scholz announced that the coalition government would implement the further measures presented on Tuesday by German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser for more effective border management and more entry refusals, even without the CDU's cooperation. Proposals had been presented that were effective and in line with European law. They remain open to the world and at the same time tackle the challenges of irregular migration, Scholz says. Scholz and Merz will meet again on Wednesday in the general debate on the 2025 federal budget. And elsewhere, Mexican senators gathered on Tuesday in a tense session ahead of a vote on a controversial judicial reform, with opposition lawmakers accusing the ruling bloc of underhand tactics to ensure they secured the votes needed for its approval. The vote is expected to be tight, with the ruling coalition formally 1 senator short of the 2/3 majority needed to pass the constitutional reform, which will overhaul the country's judiciary by popularly electing judges and cutting the amount of experience needed to hold posts. Protesters blocked roads and waved Mexican flags outside the Senate building in opposition to the reform, which has prompted widespread demonstrations in recent weeks. Speculation is also mounting that opposition PAN Senator Miguel Angel Yunes has switched allegiance to the ruling bloc over the reform. While the Senate was in session, Yunes requested medical leave in a letter read by the Senate's Board of Directors Secretary. His father represented him as his substitute. Senators are expected to vote on the reform later, with debate likely to go into the early hours of Wednesday. The backbone of the constitutional reform proposed by outgoing President Andres Miguel Manuel Lopez Obrador calls for the election by popular vote of more than 6,500 judges and magistrates, including the Supreme Court. Lopez Obrador and President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum have vigorously defended the reform as essential for holding judges accountable and reducing corruption. The reform also proposes reducing the number of Supreme Court justices to 9 from 11, reducing their terms to 12 years, and cutting required work experience to qualify for ministerial positions. Mexico's major trading partners, the United States and Canada, have warned the changes could determine or undermine the USMCA trade pact and negatively impact investments. The Bolivian Workers' Center and supporters of Luis Arce's government marched on Tuesday to the National Assembly demanding approval for international loans and bills that are blocked in the chamber. Demonstrators declared a constant vigil in Murillo Square near the Bolivian Congress, pressuring Parliament to approve credits amounting to as much as $1 billion, which Arce's government insists on amidst a foreign exchange crisis. The Bolivian opposition and faction of the Socialist Movement Party, MAS, loyal to former President Evo Morales, have resisted approving these loans due to the Bolivian state's high debt levels. Trade unions and social organizations are also urging Congress to pass pension law reforms that would mandate retirement at the age of 65. Since 2023, Bolivia has struggled with dollar shortages, which has negatively impacted different sectors. Local banking institutions have imposed restrictions on financial transactions in dollars, sparking the rise of a so-called black market. Still to come, COS seeks Nigerian support to combat insecurity. Hasina sponsors 109 students to study MBBS AI in Egypt and China. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Signature Global News on Signature Television. 3 persons have been killed and 5 others sustained serious gunshots and machete injuries at the Isionye land boundary between ENUGU and Northia communities of Njikoka local government area of Anambra State. According to a statement from the State Police Command signed by the Police Public Relations Officer Tochukwu Ikenga, the victims were lured by some individuals through a phone call to the land in guise of a land transaction, only to end up in a planned attack with guns and machetes. The police statements said the State Commissioner of Police, Obono Nage Itam, has ordered detailed investigation of the incident, even as they have recovered an abandoned Sienna vehicle used by the murderers. It further states that the testimonies of the injured victims who are currently receiving treatment in the hospital is aiding investigation, while the bodies of the deceased have been deposited in the morgue. Signature TV correspondent disclosed that traffic along the Oka, Northia, ENUGU, Onitsha Old Road was disrupted around morning hours on Tuesday by youths protesting the killings, forcing motorists off the roads, and at the Northia Market end to divert into the express road through Mo'o Oka Junction. Roadside traders and artisans around the Anambra State government-owned owned psychiatric hospital, Northia, were also forced to close shops and run for safety, even though armed policemen could be spotted few kilometers away, indicating their willingness to quell any upheaval. The ENUGU community in Njikoka local government area of Anambra State has officially reacted to the gruesome murder of 3 of their indigents on Monday and injuring of many others at the Isionye land boundary with Northia community. A statement signed by the President General of ENUGU, Chief Patrick Nwoji, expressed the shock and disappointment of the traditional ruler, Igwe Raf Ekbe, and that of the entire community over the incident. The statement, while condemning the unprovoked attack on members of Isionye and Ira villages, however, called for calm and restraint from ENUGU people, even as it assured that the security agencies are on high alert to apprehend the perpetrators of the crime. The traditional ruler has also extended his gratitude to Governor Chukwuma Soludo for his quick response, demonstrated by the personal visit of the Deputy Governor to the hospital to commiserate with survivors and evaluate the situation. And in a separate statement, the Northia Progressive Union expressed shock at the killings that occurred on their soil and communal land, describing it as a senseless act of violence. The statement urged law enforcement agencies and security outfits to do everything within their power to arrest the perpetrators and bring them to justice, as failure to do so in a timely manner may lead to the breakdown of law and order. It commiserates with the ENUGU community for the loss of their indigents. The statement expressed concern over publications alleging that the killers were sponsored by unknown individuals from Northia and enjoined citizens of both communities to desist from such inflammatory comments that could heat up the polity, recalling that ENUGU and Northia are and will remain always brothers. Joining us right now to speak a little more about this development is our correspondent in Anambra State, Mr. Ndu Okbaleze. Mr. Ndu, thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Give us an update on what's going on in Anambra State.
Yeah, with particular reference to what is happening at Northia and the ENUGU communities. Actually, from news that the one thing you can take away immediately is that there are border skirmishes between ENUGU and Northia. Because from their statements, ENUGU community statement, you discover that they said that thing happened in their own land, Isionye village, border village with Northia. And then when you look at the Northia community statement, they also said the thing happened in their own soil. So there's already established fact that both of them are laying claim to that particular area. But it is not yet sure. One cannot say exactly what transpired, because further information, when I was in Enugu yesterday and both in Enugu and Northia, I could decipher from people's talks that you know, it was through a telephone call that they were asked to, those people, the victims were lured to the site because the issue of land agency, some of them were called, come and collect money, let us settle and take money, and there will not be any issue anymore. So some of them were lured to the site because of money. It was not immediately known whether it was people who bought the land, or whether they were Northia people, or whether they were people from elsewhere. And there is also another clue with regards to maybe court-related activities, because some of the people that were killed, like one of the people in ENUGU, known as, they know him as AK Warfare. He's a leader of the vigilante in one of the communities there. So people were not, it's not very, very clear until security comes out clean with their investigations with exactly what happened. People are still left in doubt with regards to the exact intention of what happened. That's the situation now. But we are happier that the restive community village youths of Enugu that were moving down to Northia yesterday in anger, they have been well contained by the state security apparatus. The Nigerian police dispersed them. The bonfires they were making were dispersed, and even though they regrouped, but they continue dispersing them. And so far, I haven't heard of any other untoward thing that happened. That's the situation now.
But has there been any other issue relating to this matter between the two communities regarding land in the past? Do you have an idea?
Yes, that's what I was able to decipher yesterday. As a matter of fact, if you had seen the viral video that was going on, there was a wall, that was constructed, and you see that there was some destruction. The bricks were destroyed, broken down by maybe people, showing that a kind of hostility with regards to who owns that. And Enugu, even though they are from the same ancient dynasty, they are brothers, like they said, but they are border communities. And that kind of thing is very, very obvious in our society today. People want to say, we own up to this point and we own up to this point. So the border lines are always subject to dispute. And that is one of the things I discovered that is happening. There has been history of Enugu claiming the place and Northia also claiming it.
We'll keep engaging on this matter because we'd love to see the position of the government of Anambra State and, of course, put it side by side with the investigations that the police are actually also making. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I'm hoping that in due course we'll bring our viewers up to speed with the latest development.
Yeah, that's exactly the truth.
Thank you so much. Ndopala is live from Oka in Anambra State, Southeast Nigeria.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Meanwhile, major roads, houses, and shops in Maiduguri metropolis, the Borno State capital, and parts of the Jere local government area have been submerged by floodwaters. The Shehus Palace, the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, and Sanda Karimi Park Zoo were some of the public infrastructure submerged by flood. A prison wall located along the custom area was broken by floods as some inmates allegedly drowned while several others escaped their lives. roads within the state's capital, including the post office roundabouts, which links major locations in the capital, are flooded, thereby cutting off vehicular movement within the metropolis. The Abaganaram custom roads, along which the flooded prison is located, Tashan Bama custom roads, Monday markets, Gamburu markets custom area, cattle market in Old Maiduguri, Gwange area, Lagos Street are all communities affected by the flood. Maiduguri Zoo's popularity, known as Sanda Karimi Zoo Park, was flooded too. The general manager of the zoo, Ali Abacha, said 80% of the animals in zoo have been killed by the flood, while the others have escaped into the city capital. Thousands of residents living along the waterways and flood-prone areas have been displaced, the majority of whom are women and children. Several shop owners and small-scale businesses are also affected by the flood. Touring across safer areas within Maiduguri, thousands of women and children are relocating along with their belongings. Many of them are seen taking refuge under the trees at the major roads. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to assist the flood victims in parts of Maiduguri. Tinubu, in a statement by presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga on Tuesday, expressed deep concern about the flooding. Tinubu extended his heartfelt condolences to the government and people of the state, especially to the families that lost their loved ones and means of livelihood due to the disaster triggered by the overflow of the Alo Dam. The president called for the immediate evacuation of people from affected areas. He assured Governor Babagana Zulum that the federal government is ready to collaborate to address the immediate humanitarian needs of the affected people. The president also said that he remained committed to mobilizing federal resources to support the states during this difficult time. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Correctional Service, Edo Command, has partnered with the Edo Health Insurance Service, Edo HES, for free secondary and specialized medical treatments for inmates. The Command Public Relations Officer, Aminu Suleiman, said on Tuesday in Benin that the aim was to ensure that inmates receive necessary medication beyond basic treatment. The Controller of Corrections, Philomena Emehinola, expressed gratitude to Governor Godwin Obaseki and Edo HES team for the gesture. Emehinola stated that it would enhance justice delivery and aid inmates' reinformation. The controller called on other agencies and individuals to partner with the Nigerian Correctional Service to support its efforts in achieving safe and secure custody, justice, and reintegration of inmates into the society. The Special Advisor to the President's Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, on Tuesday accused the Trade Union Congress, TUC, United Kingdom, of making false claims about human rights abuses and violations in Nigeria. He said in a statement that TUC leaders made the false claims at the opening session of TUC conference on Tuesday in London. He said the Nigerian government was wrongly accused of rights abuse because the NLC president, Comrade Joe Ajero, was stopped from traveling abroad after he snubbed the invitation of a law enforcement agent. According to him, like the United Kingdom and other civilized nations, Nigeria is a country of law governed by the Constitution. He therefore rejected the notion and allusion to human rights violations in Nigeria, saying that the accusations made by the Trade Union Congress in the United Kingdom was unfounded and based on a misunderstanding of the situation. He said the Nigerian government was being led by a pro-democracy activist president who would do everything to protect civil liberties and the rights of all citizens. He said there was no adversarial relationship between the labor movement in Nigeria and the government. The presidential aide accused labor unions of stunting the economic growth and development of the country in the past and even compromising the material well-being of the workers and the poor people they ought to protect. Meanwhile, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Tokwe Ajayi, says Bola Tinubu has made the right choices that will deliver for Nigerians. Ajayi made this known in a statement on Tuesday in Lagos. Ajayi noted that the choices made by the president would deliver significant gains for the country and its people. Ajayi pointed out that as governor of Lagos, the president reformed governance and set the state on the path of irreversible progress. According to him, the president has never claimed that he did it alone or discounted the contributions of others who led the states before him. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has approved the commencement of the 2024 National Honors Award for Nigerians and friends of Nigeria who have contributed to the development of the country. The Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Zephaniah Jusalo, made this known at a meeting with management staff of the ministry in Abuja on Tuesday. Jusalo said that the federal government would also honor Nigerians who have distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavors. The minister explained that the forms and processes leading to the award of national honors were free of charge, adding that people should desist from paying for national honors. He advised the public to watch out for calls for nominations and present individuals who have distinguished themselves by uplifting the nation and its people. And that's Global News this hour. Thank you so much for joining us. The morning show begins right after this. Do stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still on Signature Morning, and this is Signature Television. That was Global News from Charles Pius. Charles Pius, which of those news caught your attention the most?
Well, for me, it's the debates.
I know. It has to be. It just has to be.
The debate is just very, 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 very cool. I was just watching it, and every time I watch Americans do things, I just think about my country and how we have done things over time. The debate gives you up close and personal, the things that you could basically see that the president or your president could do for you, and they would tell you exactly what they can do and how they can do it. But we have that culture here, and I hope and I wish that it will be part of our laws. For before you attain any elected position, you must have to come for debates. If you don't come for debates, just forget about that position.
I think INEC should look into that, honestly.
It should be part of our laws, really.
All right, we'll be moving over to the newspaper headline. Do stay with us. We'll come back after this. And first on the newspaper headline today is Vanguard. And just above the mast we have, in deepening its capital markets, Nigeria raises over $900 million 5-year inaugural domestic federal government US dollar bound.
On the Vanguard still, below the mast, Ajero, nobody is above the law, says the federal government.
And moving over to the Nigerian Tribune, just below the mast, we have thousands displaced as flood wreaks havoc in Maiduguri.
Factors that will shape Edo governorship election with the rider Obaseki Oshomole war. Deputy governors are vote banks for PDP and APC. Edo South Central are battlegrounds. Election win-win for Edo Central. Financial strengths, oratory, prowess, personalities of candidates to play roles.
Oil prices drop below $70 per barrel, exerting downward pressure on Naira.
Blame Obi OT for crisis in Labour Party. Deputy National Chairman speaks on page 18 of the Nigerian Tribune.
And moving over to the Punch, just below the mast, Borno Dam collapse. Our federal government opens IDP camps as flood submerges 70% of Maiduguri. With the rider inmate escape, thousands displaced. Tinubu, NAS, governors pledged aid as NEMA begins evacuation.
Why NNPC may not lift Dangote petrol on Sunday. Fuel importers fear domestic production. Refineries Association speaks. That's on page 19th of the Punch newspaper.
And on page 22, we have Southwest governors to spend 266 billion naira on airport projects.
On page 16, INED ready for free fare poll. Yakubu declares.
70,000 naira wage. NYC await federal government directives on new corpus pay.
Well, I'm sure that's what many core members are waiting for.
Yes. I am very sure they are waiting for it.
If you have moved the minimum wage to 70,000, it should reflect on every core members. I'm sure that somebody's smiling.
It's somebody definitely is smiling. Moving over to the Daily Times, just below the mast, displaced wild animals, humans struggle for space in Maiduguri with the rider, prison inmates break free as stakeholders call for emergency action. Floods most catastrophic in 3 decades, says VP Shetima.
Federal government, Google unveil 100 million naira AI fund to empower local startups.
Ajero oppression under Tinubu worse than military dictatorship, says Atiku.
HOR to develop policy documents to enhance quality electricity delivery.
Okay, Edo 2024 Obaseki APC trade blame over possible electoral violence.
Presidency denies TUC's human rights claims, human rights abuse claims, says Nigeria governed by law.
And moving over to The Guardian. On the Guardian newspaper, just below the mast, we have 39 dams moribund over poor maintenance, obsolete equipment.
Still on the Guardian, we can no longer afford further hikes in interest rates. Manufacturers warn.
World Health Organization declares Mpox outbreak a global health emergency.
Government begins implementation of zero duty on selected food items.
18 die in 3 road crashes along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Protests. We are sitting on a time bomb, Sule tells northern governors.
Pressure mounts on Tinubu to sack oil sector chiefs.
Party disowns Ebiseni, Labour Party Guber candidate in Ondo states.
And moving over to the nation, finally, just below the mast, where our federal government dollar-pound attracts 900 million subscription.
Wow. Abure, Yesufu, Egodalo, others ran Obi campaign funds, with the rider candidate sidelined Labour Party in financial matters.
Canada's student enrollment drops by 45%, with the rider new immigration policy unfavorable.
I can understand that. Mostly Nigerians are affected.
Yes.
Most Nigerians' dreams actually to go to Canada, and it does look like this particular new immigration policy is stopping them. We are winning battle against bandits, oil thieves, say service chiefs. With the rider, terrorists, Tajis capture imminent.
And finally, Edo 2024, PDP APC clash over purported plan to make states ungovernable. You can find this on the page 5 of The Nation.
All right, we're moving over to expert analyst in-house, Mr. Chris Manuka. Mr. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Quite an interesting headlines that we are picking from our dailies this morning. One of them, of course, is about the Edo elections, which is just about over a week from now, September 21 to be precise. And some of the headlines we're seeing are quite interesting. One of them says that one of the things that will play a role beyond the personalities of those who are the gubernatorial candidates is financial muscle.
Well, Charles, we started with the training of blames on electoral violence. Though, as it is in the eyes of the world, is at the center stage, and whatever they make out of it, all the political bigwigs there, all eyes on them, and what they should recognize is that if they want elections in Edo State, everyone should stay off violence, because violence is not a monopoly of anybody. And of course, the Edo electorates are out. You trust them, you know they are hot. When they want things, they do it. So they are not even, Edo is not where you say somebody is pushing anybody to do anything. So if any politician stand on their way, they'll push, they've done it before, and I'm sure they'll do it again. They know what they want in Edo. But when it comes to financial muscle, in Africa, it's just like that film that of Idi Amin. It's their culture. It's the culture of Africans. When you talk about policy in Nigeria, is money, first position, money, second, then money to fifth position. Before you talk about, is it Charles that we are seeing this poster on the walls? Is it Rito? Nobody bothers about that. That's the thing, and they have created that, which is totally abnormal. And you know, like the African proverb say, when it becomes a thing of struggle, only the wicked and people who do not have human mind wins. So they don't want it normal way, they bring in money. Remove money, Nigerians will vote the people they want. So they weaponize what they call poverty. If I make you poor, and then imagine Nigerians and people to insult Nigerian electorates with the cups of rice, 2 cups of rice, 1 useless cloth that will not last for 2 days. And some of them will go and print their uniforms that are advertising them, dash it to Nigerians to wear it to campaign for them for nothing. And after every 4 years, and that's all the last you see of them. I know my lecturer in the school described students who are recalcitrant, and after teaching them in university, they go vanish. He said they think the lecturers are commercial sex workers who you visit at your time. That's what Nigerian politicians take Nigerians as it is. They do is hot, hot, hot. Everybody is dying for them in the street. They push the youth, mobilize them with the weeds and weapons. After they ascend the throne, they will not be accessible again. So it's even high time Nigerian electorates will start learning their lessons.
Right, but again,
this money, they bring it.
Yeah.
There's a state in Nigeria, you know, if you bring money, 1 billion, 2 billion, 5 billion, they will chop it. At the last, they will go to polls and choose their name.
This is the issue. I mean, we even around the world,
Yeah.
monies play an important
lot,
role
yeah.
in an election. But this is quite different. We see a situation where people go to the polling units with monies to buy people's votes.
Literally.
I mean, it's not literally. It's official.
We have seen it. You vote. You go and show where you want to vote. You follow you. When you vote, come back, indicate where you voted, either with anything, and you collect your pay and go. Yeah, we have seen it. It has worked out in Nigeria, and everybody will think after doing that. You know why I blame Nigerians? After doing all this, you come back now, and you start saying fuel is 1,400 or 1,700. It will work. You are buying back what you know. He said whoever had used fake dollar to do Christmas, to celebrate Christmas for the mother-in-law, is what you have given, you take back. You lock yourself up in a room and went to do the other one. You stay back with that. When you enter, whatever you give yourself, you take. Nigerians are collecting money from politicians. Even some of them will line up. You think they've come to vote. After how much noise, they will go and start collecting 1,000 naira. And that means that even politicians insult us so much, they give you 1,000 naira, and that's the last you see of them after another 4 years. And this is exactly what is played out. In 2023 elections, we saw how beyond money, violence, people openly threatening people with guns, jackknives, and even silence people, and openly, nobody said anything. So, Nigeria, you have decided what you want in your own time, because the history said every generation, every country, every people, every group, every community, we decide what they want at any time, the type of politicians you want, governance you want, the type of economy, the type of priests, lawyers. Everybody is waiting in Nigeria now is what Nigeria created. And we are Nigerians. That's what we have paid for. And we are reaping it. There's nothing anybody will do for us. All this one we are breaking, unless we decide and said, we are tired of this, we want a total change, that is a real change, nothing will work out. Because some people will make noise. If somebody like me, you say, I'm talking like, if I step out here and somebody says, I beg, don't talk again, come and collect money. And I collect it. The next day, you just will see me asking me, are we talking from both sides of mine? They say, Chris, say something. You have been saying something. And that's what has happened in Nigeria today. A lot of people were at the point, occupied Nigeria. Where is Nigeria for them to occupy now? Maybe Nigeria has existed in the moon. Nobody's occupying Nigeria, and the fuel is 1,700 naira. And then we are here talking. So we are deceiving ourselves, and I've said it many times. Nigeria have told themselves lies. So the same lies, Edo is not totally out of, Edo is part of Nigeria, one of the 36 states. So the lies that the 200 million Nigerians are telling themselves will trickle down to Edo, because Edo is connected. In fact, Edo is at the center of connection of Nigeria roads. So if you tell lies in Lagos, you pass through Edo, they will smell it. If you tell lie in Anambra, cross the river Niger, you enter Edo, they will take back. If you tell a lie in Port Harcourt, through Patani, it lands. So all the lies we are told ourselves will play out in Edo again. So don't expect anything less.
Okay, so
unless the Edo people say they want to make a difference this time, yeah.
All right, Chris, let's move to something else. The TUC president, or TUC, made a statement in UK saying that the arrest of Ajero was an infringement of his human rights. But the presidency came out and denied the TUC's human rights abuse claims, says Nigeria is governed by law. Honestly, I want to hear your take on this.
The foreign community are meeting, and Nigeria is supposed to be represented. A seat is reserved, tagged Nigeria, in big international conference that are dealing with labor. Then the representative of Nigeria was stopped at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. All papers cleared and his destination known, his event is attending known. If Nigeria wanted to be what they be, you suspected something, it won't cost Nigeria nothing to follow up whether what he's going for. I mean, follow it up. You have been accusing him of treason and all manner of things. Some people, we have Nigerian embassy in the place where he was, the man was supposed to attend the event. There are, what do you mean, things to follow him up and know whether he is actually what they think he is going for. And the people waited for Ajero in the conference. And the organizers and the chairman, the world global chairman of the event had made the statement and referred to Nigeria. What you are saying is that the whole world will stop for Nigeria to jump out. And Nigeria has jumped out of global development. Nigeria has singled itself out to say, all these you are talking to Nigerians, the world has made their stand, and they say it is against all human rights. It's an abuse. So whatever you're telling us is like when we make mistake here in the studio, the world is watching us, and you go back and say, me and you will start fighting. Any mistake we make here, people will see the world, and that's what they take. So you come back here and start fighting his cameraman, his Charles that didn't prompt me very well, is whatever, I didn't sleep well. That is for you, and that's what Nigerians have done. Anything they're talking now is for them. The world has taken what impressions they are. There's a musician, Rod Stewart, he said, first cut is the deepest. Nigerians made the first cut. In the world eyes, is the deepest. Whatever you're making now is first mending, and it doesn't go nowhere. And don't worry, when Nigerians go, anywhere Nigerians go, the world are making statements against Nigeria for Nigeria to see that they don't want 1 cent in the eyes of everyone, because the government doesn't even regard the people. You prepare to go to represent Nigeria at the event, they stop you and start talking and talking. You wouldn't have arrested them before. How many times have they invited the man? And when they give him a chaperone, escort him and make sure he did not jackpot. Is it that they want to jackpot, or is it that they're going to organize the treason that will invade Nigeria? I don't understand. Only the Nigerian president, much respected as Sorok, everywhere, all our eyes come from there. So whatever they think is right.
But do you think one of the reasons why they did not allow him go was because they were afraid of what he was going to say?
He won't go there. He's going on the event, and the event there was not agenda, was not the agenda. Nigeria was not an agenda in what he was going there. He's going there to say what policy rule the workers all over the world so that Nigeria will bring it home. If they say in that place that workers are not treated, he will come back here and say, I attended the conference, they say workers all over the world, not just Nigeria. Workers all over the world are not getting the best, but there are places where they get the worst. So they will be part of the agenda. So if Nigeria is afraid they are not treating their workers very well, so you start stopping all the workers. All the ones who are jackpotting and going, they are all workers. They will go there and still talk. Right. So stopping Ajero from attending such conference has just brought to the bear that who is afraid of Ajero, who is afraid of NLC, who is afraid of TUC? What is this? So the more you do this, you are playing out your incompetency.
It's quite shocking, really, given that we've seen these things play out over and over again. Buhari in the last administration, before he was president, came out to protest against Goodluck Jonathan when price of fuel was
They occupied Nigeria, I remember.
Yeah, even Tinubu did the same.
Yeah.
This Bayo Onanuga that released the statements countering UK TUC also was among those who, fought. They were even members of NADECO at some point, who fought the military. They fought against oppression, fought against retrogression, and fought against, the arrests and intimidation of journalists. It's unfortunate that they are the ones in power. Buhari just them with a lot of right violation.
Charles, I like a background knowledge you're giving me about this. And I've already referred to it. I said some people occupied Nigeria. So where is Nigeria to occupy now? So is it clear case of somebody crossed the bridge and then look back and say, let the bridge break, nobody else crossed. But they forgot that there is still tomorrow. Whatever this present administration, in fact, the likes of Onanuga, I don't see any of them that have done the kind of job he's doing that have been appointed again ever in Nigeria. So he may probably be doing his last job. Because nobody with clear eyes will appoint him and say, you did well during Tinubu's regime. Come back and still do that job. So he should know, and that he is setting a precedent. And then one thing happened. The young man, Ngalale Ajuri, resigned. And all stories, how can a young boy like that resign? And the whole Nigeria is making statement why he left. If the guy say he's living on health ground, and they are sure everything is in place, they will give him money to go and treat himself. He has served Nigeria very well. Everybody is making statement. Remember, it is a slave who sees where a fellow slave is being buried with just a spoon. They just dig ground with spoon and bury a fellow grave. Let him know that same fate awaits him. They will only use you and dump you. And you have made statement that will play out on your whole generation. If by your Nanuga dynasty we end today, let him just go on saying things. He has said so many things the whole Nigerians have spoken against. In the name of working for presidency, you don't even have limit for human dignity. You don't have any sense again in you. You don't see truth. You turn it upside down to please your principal. At the end of it all, the way we make our maths, we lie on it. Even Nanoga, we still lie, unless some of them has prepared their own maths outside. But they still math all the same because these things they do here, follow them. Some countries, after you finish, some of them are denied. So you see the countries they go to, it's not these big countries. They go to where nobody will remember them. Some of them have done this job and they would go into oblivion and go to so far countries. Is that what they want? So if you are, said, a proverb in my place says, any man who has decided to sleep with an old woman and after that abuse the old woman, whatever hungered him before he going to the OC, we hunger him again. Let me put it that way. So whatever they are doing, you see, fly human physics on top of ceiling fan, one way or the other. The man who throws stone in the marketplace is like my friend, good friend Onanoga, in the position of speaking for government. I'm sure they should look at him very well and show whether he's speaking very well for government. Because if I'm speaking, I think I'm working very well, but I'm just pulling you down with some of the statements I'm making. Then they should remove. And we have the rumor that our dear president is going to shake his cabinet. So some of them might be doing their last job. And I'm sure there's no smoke without fire. So they can as well go ahead thinking they're pleased. The man they are pleasing, saying all this is no. You know? If I give you money and you accepted it to go and kill your families, and then I will never bring you closer because I know if I bring you closer, you will do the same to me. And that's some of them, what they didn't know. So good luck to all of you spokespersons of the government. Still say, turn it around. But we Nigerians have access to information. Some of us know the truth. No matter how you want to color it, truth is truth anywhere.
So an announcement was made that on the September 15th, Dangote was going to be able to give us his own price for the fuel. But now we're seeing why NNPC may not lift Dangote petrol on Sunday. Fuel importers fear domestic production refines association. Everybody has been expecting this. I mean, everybody has been looking forward to that hope.
We have looked at it here for more than 1 month running. Dangote, NNPCL. I wonder where they are. Who made the NNPCL the spokesperson for Dangote refinery? That is the confusion we still have. And some of the statements they make, you see that they are protecting something we do not know. I woke up in my family this morning and my children were just saying, like, is NNPC, is Dangote refinery a unit of NNPC? Because we have not even, they've not allowed Dangote to speak. Before he could say, I've refined fuel, they now come out and say, they are pushing Dangote to export fuel so that we remain in status quo. Anybody who is afraid of Dangote refined product is not a friend of Nigeria. It's not a friend of me and you. Not about, I don't know, some Nigerians can still afford fuel at any price. Of course, we can see there are few cars on the street. Those are the ones who can still. Now, when you pick out the ones who can survive, and you need the one that is more in number, weigh them. Anybody who is fighting for or who is stopping Dangote from refining his oil in Nigeria and selling it at the price is coming out because it's no more imported. So if you add the price of imported oil on Dangote, whatever minus it, that would be what Dangote should be selling to us. But these forces are playing out so that Dangote will export his oil. The same NNPCL will import back. At that time, we'll be buying a liter of oil in Nigeria, fuel in Nigeria, petrol, as somebody said, not even at 5,000 naira. We're here. Allow him. Let the market determine. Nigeria has a large market to consume even our oil, and the African countries have large market to take this oil. Allow him first, because my people say pepper will always be more in a mortar that is grounded. If I ground pepper, because of my lack of English, my knowledge of English in translation, I always feel better to give it first version. If Dangote refine oil in Nigeria, it will always be better for us to buy it at the price is coming out of. And if they do not lift it, let them also buy oil tanker and go, because we know the location of oil. NNPC should not lift. We can lift oil by ourselves and sell in our downstream dispensing centers and sell it. If it comes down to 700, it's still better. It's high, but it's still better than nothing. But these forces, they are trying the patience of Nigerians, because as every day, people are dying. Right. The stress is too much. And I still wonder how you guys managed to come to work.
You don't want to.
I started jogging. I started jogging. I started learning how to jog. Okay. I started carrying some.
I managed to jog halfway when it was. I know that I will miss the time you gave for me, so I have to hike an Okada. The Okada, the keke person now. Even when I try to do halfway jogging, still charged at high price. It was more than what I used to pay all through, but now.
All right, Chris, so because of time, we'll have to go now. It's that time. Yes, it's that time. So thank you very much.
That's wonderful.
Thank you very much for coming in the studio with us this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's that on the newspaper headlines and review. We'll go for a short break. When we come back, we have more segments lined up for you. Hi everyone and welcome to Internet Watch. I am Joshua Oritogun. And today we're going to be diving into some hot topics. I mean, if you're in Nigeria, hot topic comes back to back to back to back. You can't help it. I mean, every day on the newspaper headlines, you see different kind of things and you're wondering, ha! So, first on the list, the Nigerian Labour Congress is sounding the alarm, warning that fuel prices could hit a whopping 5,000 naira per litre. Do you know what that means? That you're going to be buying a litre of fuel for 5,000 naira. That is a lot of money for just a litre of fuel. It's a lot. I don't know. Let it sink in. Just let it sink in. We'll probably be buying 5,000 naira per litre under Tinubu's government. Yeah, you heard that right. Could this be the next big challenge for Nigerians? But I mean, we've already been facing a lot of challenges. I mean, it's insecurity, food insecurity, food scarcity, naira devaluation, forex exchange. We have a lot of things already going on, and we want to be buying fuel 5,000 naira per litre. We have policies that are limiting people from leaving the country. I mean, our health workers as well. 5,000 naira per litre. I'm still going to keep saying it because 1,400 naira, people are staying at home already. People are leaving their cars. Even public transport will stop. I mean, moving from point A to point B now, with 100 naira before, it's like 400 naira now. That's a lot. Well, let's head to the comment section to hear what people had to say. Villian is saying he's making the hard choice and we shouldn't expect anything to be free in this our government. We're not saying things should be free. We're just saying like things even be affordable. That Bose can go to the market, that Yakubu can go to the market, that Chinemerem can go to the market, and they all can get things in affordable prices. Fun Studio is saying, what is this man even doing? Why are they making life uncomfortable for an average citizen? I mean, the low class, middle class, of everybody, the average is suffering. Abstract Mind is saying, how can one man keep a population of 218.5 million people in bondage? Nigerians should wake up. Well, somebody else can say this is the failure of our time. I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying. Perry is saying, we want to buy fuel at 20,000 naira per litre. 5,000 is too small, an inefficient price for the economy. We will stand on this mandate till the crude oil finish. If you understand what Perry is saying, Perry is totally sarcasm. This is totally sarcasm, so you understand. Nobody wants to buy 20,000 naira. Yeah, exactly what I have been waiting for. Now, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba will be able to speak one language. Nigeria needs to be great again. It has never been great, so I'm not going to say again. We are divided, and it's the more reason the country is in total jeopardy. I mean, we're really divided. Come on. But I need to understand the population of the country. You might want to, Ola is saying, why? How much will they make? It be like NLC go back and insist on 250k as minimum wage, because I don't know why. What benefit will the citizen get with this increase in fuel price? I don't know why he didn't. I don't know why he even didn't say it. Like, makes absolutely no sense. Like, what? I mean, we had a guest on the Signature Morning Show, and then he was explaining why they settled for 70k and not 150. This is the last comment. I have Gideon. Gideon is saying, it's just embarrassing that the labor union of the most populous black nation cannot put forth representatives with knowledge on basic economics and so do not know what to ask for and how to navigate negotiation on these issues. Well, it is really troubling, but I want to believe that we have people who can make this case. We don't have all people bad. I mean, there are good people there who really care and have concern for the average Nigerian. Well, let's switch gear to some exciting sport news. Enough of bad news, I beg. Let's just move on a little bit. So for our second story, Nigerians' own Ademola Lookman has been nominated for African Footballer of the Year. I mean, big things. I'm so happy for him. It's a huge achievement for the Super Eagles star, and fans are buzzing with pride. He has also been nominated for the top award in the Ballon d'Or 2024. Big congratulations, Ademola. This is a big one for him. We're happy for him. The whole Nigerians are wishing you well. I mean, Osimhen went to a new club and the club gained 1 million followers in a few days. That's how supportive Nigeria can be. I mean, this country is full of great people, and if not just for the things we're suffering, Nigeria is a blessed country. Well, this is all we can take on the internet watch. So, As we close today's Internet Watch, here's an important tip that could save a life. I mean, it can happen anywhere. Slump and dying slumping and dying has been the trend of the day. So note this. If someone collapses and isn't breathing, you can perform CPR. First, place the heel of your hand in the center of the chest. Put your other hand on top and push hard and fast, about 100 to 120 compression per minute. Keep going until help arrives. I'm Joshua Ritogun, reminding you that sometimes knowing just
part. Okay, a situation where individuals or firms provide virtually everything they need that the government ought to have provided. Okay, things like